What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into another episode of My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Sleazebomb. I hope you got them week 3 dubs. It is time to hop into week 4 here. And guys, I'm going to have to crank out a ton of content. My only live show this week will be Thursday. It's my mom's 60th birthday. We'll be heading to Vegas, so I won't be here Friday to Sunday, but I will be on Big Draft Energy shows, probably hopping in there, helping with questions and whatnot there. Before we dive into it, guys, make sure you tap that thumbs up, hit that subscription button. Helps me out a ton. If you haven't checked out the Guys FF Discord, make sure you do. 3 for 3 on Pick'em, absolute guaranteed locks all through 3 weeks here. Me and Big Draft Energy cover everything fantasy football you guys need. Literally trades, dynasty trades, roster reviews, everything is covered in their DFS plays, Pick'ems. And that's why you sign up on drafters.com. Make sure you use promo code SLEAZE. It'll match your deposit up to $100. And you can do the pick'ems with us, DFS plays with us, draft with us, everything like that. And this is going to be the week 4 waiver wire top 8 pickups. And all these players are rostered under 60%. I'm using Yahoo for this one. So these are players that should not be under 60%, and you should be smashing. And I'll give you the fab, and I'll give you the waiver order priority that I would use on them, and we'll talk about some stats and why I like them going into the next week here, guys. Let's dive into the waiver wire pickups for week 4. Starting off with number 1, it is going to be the rookie phenom out of Ole Miss, Jaxon Dart, who is only 5% owned right now in Yahoo, and you just saw last night Russell Wilson. You saw the crowd yell for Jaxon Dart, even coming out the tunnel at halftime. You even heard the commentators. The commentators were like, man, this whole organization is hyped up for Jaxon Dart to get there. And Russell Wilson was throwing balls into the tunnel last night, man. So the only thing that I worry about with Jaxon Dart is that they get the Chargers this week. So are they really going to throw Jaxon Dart out there to the Chargers this week when they have the New Orleans Saints in week 5? They're probably going to throw Russell Wilson out one more week, although you hear the owners and everybody crying about it. But what you have to look at is Jaxon Dart. Started sophomore year from Ole Miss. The guy's passed for 3,000-plus yards every single season, 4,000 yards his last year, senior year at Ole Miss. Touchdown ratio, 81-27 to interception ratio. That is what you want. And the sneaky rushing upside that he gives you is what you have to like as well. He rushed for 500 yards his senior year and 400 yards his junior year. And you have Malik Neighbors, you have Wan'Dale Robinson, you have Cam Scatterbo breaking out. You know their defensive front 7 is phenomenal. Their secondary is not that great, but their secondary and defense has been hurting because their offense doesn't stay on the damn field that long. So get Jaxon Dart out there. Go to your waiver wire, waiver priority, especially with all the quarterback injuries we have. If you have a top 5 waiver priority, I'm fine using 5 to 7. And fab, I'm fine using 25 to 30% because I think this man is going to electrify the New York Giants when he comes into the lineup. Number 2, and I know it's not pretty, it's Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins, who are still winless, but they were fighting last week, guys. And they look like a team that was still fighting for their head coach, Mike McDonald. And when you have Tua, I know it's, not a sexy play, but there's so many quarterback injuries out there. Like, we don't know Jaden Daniels is going to be out there, J.J. McCarthy down. I mean, it's just quarterback bonanza. Could Brock Purdy be back? Mac Jones is also out there as well. And then you got Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields. I expect him to be back. But this is an option you can use, and you get to wait till Monday Night Football for it against the Jets. We'll get to that in a minute, but we got to look at Tua's stats here first. Completion percentage is always great. 89 pass attempts, 62 completions. That's 70%, or like 69.5. 575 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's got to come down to rushing yards, 17. You don't want to see Tua rush with his concussion ability. 0 touchdowns, deep balls, 12, number 6 in the NFL there, and QBR went up a lot. He was at like 22.3, I believe, last week, and that was like 31. So, he went from 35.7 up to 29. Still not great, but it's growing. You still have Tyreek Hill. You still have Waddle. This will be Darren Waller's first game being out there as well. Another kind of big body weapon for him out there. You see Ollie Gordon kind of taking the Raheem Mostert role, and you've got Devon Achane, who's always a top 5 running back no matter what. And you get the Jets. So what you have to look at is the Jets defense, not that good this year, guys. Baker Mayfield just shredded them in week 3. Buffalo, absolutely, with Thursday Night Football, week 2. kind of a Josh Allen not there game. They kind of ran the ball all over him because Miami can't stop the run. And then week 1, Aaron Rodgers threw for 4 touchdowns and had 33 fantasy points. This is going to be the Dolphins' get-right game at home Monday Night Football. And I like Tua as a very, very sneaky play and a waiver wire pickup when he's owned 22% of Yahoo leagues. This needs to be a priority that you add if you have QB problems. And I think he's going to be a top 12 to 15 QB start this week. Man, I can't believe we're here. Heading over to the running backs. Player number 3, Trey Benson. And I told you guys last week to pick this guy up. I've been talking about it all year long. Like, I do not trust James Conner to stay healthy. Not wishing an injury on anybody, but you can pull up the tweets. You can go to my live shows. I didn't want to draft James Conner this year because I was afraid of the injury and age 30 and his usage. And lo and behold, it wasn't, not like an injury that just happened non-contact or anything. He did get smashed. It was a bad situation. But you've got Trey Benson now locked in as the guy who was already getting about 40 to 45%, 50% of the snaps anyways. And now it's going to be DeMercado behind him. And you're going to get the Seattle Seahawks this week. But we'll get to the Seattle in a second. So he's had 21 attempts, 125 yards, 5.95 yards per carry. That is what you want. He's also broken 2 big 30-plus yards run, 1 for 50-plus as well. And this is as the backup. Now he's going to be the guy. 0 touchdowns, 8 receptions, 45 yards to the air. That's all limited work. Hasn't found the end zone yet. You get the Seattle Seahawks, guys. They rank 30th versus the running back. They just let Christian McCaffrey smash them. They've been giving up 26 points a game to the running back position. This is why you're going to spend 100% of your fab on Trey Benson. Number 1 waiver wire spot if he is available on Trey Benson. This guy's owned in 52% of leagues and should never have been. This is absolutely bonkers. He was getting 50% workload even before the injury. Why is this guy owned this low? I do not understand. Trey Benson is an absolute smash pickup this week. And in Dynasty, I'll give you a little insight here as well. In Dynasty, you can probably package him with another player for a first-round pick right now. Running back number 2, player number 4, being ahead of the curve is everything. Tyjae Spears is only owned in 24% of Yahoo leagues right now. And he is on IR, so you're not going to see any stats for the season. Got hurt in the preseason or before the season started. Out for 4 weeks. It's heading into week 4, guys. It's time to make these moves. It's time to go get like a Brandon Ayuk, but I'm not going to put him on here yet. If they're not on IR spots in your league, these are players you have to pick up. Now, of course, all the stats are going to be 0 here, but we have to look out with the Tennessee Titans, right? And, Tony Pollard been playing 90% of snaps. He's been volume king here. They're going to get the Texans this week. It's going to be an ugly matchup. And Tony Pollard fell into the end zone on a touchdown that should have been given to DK, but he got the 1 yard rush for it. You got to love those, like a PI flag touchdown or a 1 yard, like Dalton Kincaid falling down at the 1 and James Cook running it in. Always great fantasy stats that just absolutely kill me at times. But so Tyjae Spears, this guy was the darling of 2024 down the stretch. He won fantasy football leagues. He won best ball leagues down the championship stretch last year. He had 25 points for Cincinnati on 56% of snap shares. Indianapolis, he had 20 points on 61% snap shares. And then Jacksonville, he had 13 on 65. You're going to see him get more involved. He is the outside zone speed guy they have, the reception guy that can take it to the house. Tony Pollard is also 28, 29 years old. So he's holding the fort down. But I believe when you come week 5 here at Arizona, Tyjae Spears is going to come out 50% workload right away. And you've also got to think this is like a situation for Tony Pollard, right? If the Tennessee Titans, they're 0-3. If they're 0-5, 0-6, aren't they going to look to trade their 28-year-old assets that's depreciating to a contender team that has maybe a running back injury? These are things you have to think about. This is why Tyjae Spears should be 30% fab pickup, waiver order. I'd go 4 to 7, 4 to 6 for him because I believe that if he can stay healthy, and he's not really a full 3-down back with his size, but he can be a game breaker flex play every single week, and especially if Tony Pollard is traded, it's wheels up, baby. Wow. Number 5, heading over to the wide receiver, Tre Tucker just dropped 41.9 fantasy points against the Washington Commanders last week. I know one was in garbage time, but still, every point counts, man. He also had 9 targets for 8 receptions. 9 targets? Where's this Jacoby Myers, Jack Beck, Dante Thornton talk? It is Tre Tucker, boys. So first of all, we got to look at this. He's got 20 targets. That's about averaging 7 targets a game. That's volume you want for a flex play. 13 receptions, 211 yards. Obviously had a monster game. He had 54 yards in week 1 as well to go along, with the touchdown there too. So you got to think about that as well. 4 receiving touchdowns to 3 games. That's what you want. Target share, almost 20%. That is ridiculous for a guy that is owned in 0.4% of leagues. Snap share, 90%, top 10 in the NFL. This guy does not come off the field. He even gets end-around attempts at 2 attempts for 11 yards, 59.2 fantasy points right now. He is wide receiver 3, guys. Obviously, yes, he just had a 41 or 42-point blowout game, so obviously he's going to spike him all the way up in the rankings. But what you have to look at here is you get Chicago, you get Indy, you get Tennessee, you get KC. These are all more run-stopping than pass-stopping defenses looking ahead, a guy that never comes off the field. And the Raiders can't run the damn ball with Ashton Genty for anything, which is why I laughed at people that put him in the top 5 of their rankings, because he wasn't going to be. You got to let the rookie hype wait till it plays out, man. You just saw the Amari Hampton breakout. I like him better than Genty already. So when you're looking at this Raiders offense, this is going to be their deep ball threat. And he's even getting underneath looks. He's even getting turnaround, end routes, out routes. Tre Tucker might be the wide receiver 1 in Oakland just based off of volume. And with their run game being bad, if you're going to the waiver wire right now, this is a top 3 waiver priority pick, a 25 to 30% fab ad if you need. And if you really need the position at wide receiver, it could be a 40% fab ad because he'll be a flex play weekly with his game-breaking ability. Number 6, wide receiver number 2. And man, if you guys remember my show on Sunday, I said I didn't like Elic Ayomanor, and of course he hits a garbage time TD at the end. So that's obviously going to hurt me there. But that's what you have to look at with the Tennessee Titans. And we talked about it with Tyjae Spears and the running back side for Tyjae Spears. I like 2 Titans to pick up this week, and Elic Ayomanor is one of them, guys. 18 targets. That's averaging 6 targets a game through 3 weeks, 10 receptions, 107 yards. You'd like to see those numbers come up, but he's averaging almost 0.7 touchdown a game with 2 touchdowns on the season. And here's the number you got to like. And they're obviously, focusing Calvin really at the same rate, but defenses are paying more attention to Calvin really, which is opening it up for Ayomanor more. He's getting 23.2% target share. That is massive for a rookie, but when you look at it, it's really not that much volume, right? He's got 5, 6, and 7 targets, so averaging 6 targets a game. But that target share is because they can't complete a damn pass because Cam Ward looks absolutely terrible. So still, 76% snap share out there, 32.7 points. He's top 35 wide receiver right now, and this guy's on the waiver wire and owned in 24% of leagues. Now, when you look at the situation there, and they get Houston this week. Houston, what do they stop? The run. They're going to have to pass. Then you get Arizona, Vegas, New England, Indy, and then you get a tough matchup with the Chargers. He could be an emerging breakout candidate. Tyler Lockett looks like, shell of himself, older man. They might have brought him in for veteran leadership in the locker room, stuff like that. But he doesn't look like he's got any juice left in the tank. And when Ridley's going to be the focal point, he might end up being a flex play weekly just based on their run game being terrible, just based on the game scripts being terrible. And I didn't think the Titans would be in this situation coming into the season. This was more like a Cleveland Browns Saints thing for me of teams playing from way behind. But here we are with the Titans, man. They do not look good. Their passing volume is probably going to uptick here moving forward. And Elic Ayomanor, if you need to spend a waiver spot, I wouldn't spend a high one. I'd fit like 6 to 8 waiver order, about 10 to 12% fab if you need to. But, he's producing. So when you're getting flex points of 11 and 13 points back-to-back, you're on the radar, and you're someone that people should be paying attention to. Number 7, and this is crazy. This guy's only owned in 60% of leagues, and he is the tight end 3 overall in fantasy football, and that is Hunter Henry, Drake May's security blanket. 22 targets, 13 receptions, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously got both last game. Target share 21%. That is the numbers you want. You want it to be in 20%. That is tight end 1 usage. Snap share 85%. That is above tight end 1 usage. 41.5 points. And you have to look at kind of last game, right? Pittsburgh, not bad versus tight end at all coming in. They gave 11 targets to him. They gave up 8 receptions, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. And now you get the Carolina Panthers, guys. This is you have to start Hunter Henry this week. The Carolina Panthers versus the tight end are number 30, giving up 18 points a game. I know Kyle Pitts had a down game. I don't know what the hell happened with the freaking Falcons-Panthers game, 30-0. That was an absolute aberration, crazy game to me. I had the Falcons smashing them in that game. So tells you right there that not everyone gets it right. I don't think anyone took Carolina in that game. But yeah, Hunter Henry. So when you're going to your waiver wire right now, he's still owned in 60% of leagues. This is a startable tight end. Like if you're tight end position has been rough this year. You got Brock Bowers not really producing. Trey McBride, low scoring, finds the end zone game. Juwan Johnson, target hog. Hunter Henry is probably going to be a top 10 tight end the rest of the season with this usage. So if you are desperate for a tight end, like This is 4 to 6 waiver priority, 20, 22, 23% fab on this because this guy's going to be startable weekly with the volume he's getting this year. Being early is the name of the game. We have Isaiah likely coming up. Obviously, Monday Night Football hasn't happened yet either, guys. So if you made it this far into the video, I forgot to say this at the beginning, that if there is an injury in the Detroit Lions-Ravens game, I will pin that in the comments for what we need to look at going forward here. Now, when it comes to Isaiah Likely, like I said, being first is everything in this. So this guy's probably free right now in the waiver wire. He hasn't played a single snap. Maybe someone's stashing him on IR if you play in a smart competitive league, which is what, you will not find Isaiah Likely in any of my leagues right now. So this is the time to pick him up. This is you look at what Mark Andrews done this year, and it has been, guys, I mean, this guy's been out there for 78% of the snaps. That is tight end one usage. He has 4 targets for 2 receptions and 7 yards. And you got to remember that the Buffalo game in week 1 was an 80-plus point over game, and he still had 1 fantasy point. I know you can look at week 2 with Cleveland, and damn, that Cleveland defense, man. Look what they did to Green Bay. They are for real. That defense is amazing in Cleveland. So I give Mark Andrews a little break against Cleveland because they're very good versus the tight end, as you saw last week. Njoku, Fan, and got a couple here and there. That's their weak spot, and he still didn't thrive. So you got tonight's game. It's over under 51.5. If Mark Andrews doesn't do anything again here, Isaiah Likely was close to returning in week 3. He's probably still on your waiver wire right now. He's owned in 14% of leagues right now, so you need to absolutely pick this man up because you're going to get the Kansas City Chiefs coming up next week here, and he will be back for the game. And then you have to look at what he did against Kansas City last year in week 1. He dropped 26 fantasy points right away. So this guy is the more athletic, obviously he's coming off injury, but he is the, how would I explain it? Kind of like a Harold Fannin. They'll line him in line. They'll let him outline. They'll let him slot. They'll line him at running back. They'll move him around everywhere. And he's the athletic specimen they have that they need to bring into this offense right here. And if you have a, tight end problem, which a lot of people do right now with the injuries that are happening and like the downplay of tight ends, you need to spend 15-20% fab and I'd say 6 to 8 waiver wire order if you play, rolling fab or rolling order wise for waiver wire. But this man should not be on your waiver wire heading into next week. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my week 4 top 8 waiver wire pickups, 2 per position. My next video this is going to be a different week for me because it is a short, scattered week. So I'm going to get everything out. Remember, I leave Friday, guys, for Vegas. So my next video is going to be smash starts, then sleepers. So I'm going to try and knock those out of the way. I usually do those on Wednesday or Thursday before the kickoff. So it's going to be a different routine this week, but I will get everything out. And I'm also going to add, since we're 3 weeks in, every 3 weeks, I will do buy low, sell high players. I'm going to do 5 wide receivers, 5 running backs in those videos. And then tight end's tough right now, so I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. But we'll get to those, and then the rankings, and we'll get to start them sit-ems, and I'll get everything out this week, guys. That is it for me in this episode, guys. Make sure you tap that like and subscribe on the way out. It helps me out a ton. If you haven't checked out the Discord, it'll be pinned in the comments and in the description of the video. And as always, if you haven't signed up on drafters.com, shout out to the sponsor. Make sure you sign up using promo code SLEAZE. It'll match your deposit up to $100. And thank you guys for listening, man. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Sleaze Bomb out.